and welcome to today's lesson, which is 1, 2 and 3 step linear equations. Now, I just want to focus on the keywords for a second here because there's some keywords that we really need to know what they mean. So the first keyword I've got is solve, and the second keyword is equation. Now you have to know what the word solve means. Solve means to find out the unknown. In this case, it's the letter X. So it could be B, it could be T, it could be anything. Solve means to find the unknown. And an equation is anything that has an equal sign. So an equation has an equal sign. So let's have a little look at this. Now, one of the things that we need to do with this is when we're solving an equation, we need to basically get rid of everything which is next to that unknown that we want. So in this case, we want to get rid of the 6. Now to do that, we can't just to get rid of the 6 on that side, what we're basically doing is we need to balance the equation. So to get rid of a minus 6, we need to add 6, but we've got to do the same to the other side. So this is example 1. Make sure you're getting this in your notes. Remember, the only way to learn maths is to do it. So we've got x minus 6 is equal to 4. So if I want to solve to find x, it means I need to find out what x is. So I need to get rid of this plus 6. To get rid of this plus 6, I'm going to add 6, because the inverse of subtracting 6 is adding 6. So if you think about that, minus 6 plus 6 is equal to 0. That gets rid of that. And 4 plus 6 is equal to 10. And that's your answer there. Okay, so we do the inverse to get rid of the things that we want. So that there was example 1. So let's have a look now at example 2. So here, example 2. Remember to make sure you're getting this in your notes. So here we've got 20x is equal to 120. Now if you've watched some of the earlier videos, you might have seen what this 20x means, and you should probably go back and watch that if you don't understand what that means. 20x means 20 times by x. Okay, so to get rid of that 20, remember solve means to find the unknown, so to get x in this case on its own, to get rid of this 20, the times by 20, I'm dividing by 20. So here I'm dividing by 20, because remember we need to do the same to both sides. Now 20x divided by 20 is 1x, 20 divided by 20 is 1, so this is just equal to x. And then 120 divided by 20, well, how many times does 20 go into 120? Well, it's going to be 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 6 times in total there. So x is equal to 6. Brilliant. And that's example 2. So with this one here, to get rid of the minus, I add 6. With this one here, to get rid of that times, I divide by 20. So let's have a look at another one. So with this example here, example now 3, here we've got w over 3 is equal to 7. Now the question you've got to be asking yourself is, what does that over mean? Well, it's written as a fraction and it actually means divide. It means w or something there. Notice it's not x this time, it's w. W divided by 3 is equal to 7. So something divided by 3 is equal to 7. So to get this on its own, I need to get rid of this divided by 3, I need to do the inverse of dividing by 3, which is timesing by 3. So I'm timesing by 3, timesing by 3. If I times and divide by 3 if I times and divide by 3 by 3, I get rid of that. That's the whole point. And so I'm just left with 7 times by 3, which is equal to 21. So to get rid of that divided by 3, I'm timesing by 3 there. Super. So these are all one-step equations, and the reason they're called one-step equations is because all of them only have one step. Okay? So if we move on now, you'll notice here we've got one question which is a little bit different. So this one here is 2b plus 2b is equal to 20. Now, we do have a problem with this one here. Let's get this one down in our notes, example 4. And the problem we have with this one is I've got 2b plus 2b. So we want to be really careful with that, because do I get rid of that b first? Do I divide by 2 because I've got 2b there? And actually, the answer is you need to simplify it before you do anything. So before you do anything first, you need to simplify this. So 2b plus 2b is equal to 20. So the first thing we've got to do here is to simplify that left-hand side, like I just said. So here we've got to simplify this. So what is 2b plus 2b? Well, 2b plus 2b is 4b, which is equal to 20. And remember, the question's asking us to solve. So what does the word solve mean? Well, solve means to find or unknown. And in this case, I'm trying to find out what b is. So I've simplified the left-hand side, and you've always got to try and simplify everything you can before you do anything. And then I've got to get rid of this 4 by dividing by 4, because that means 4b, 4 times by b. So the opposite of that is dividing by that. So if I divide this by 4 and divide this by 4, I end up with just b. And if I divide the right-hand side by 4, so 20 divided by 4 is equal to 5. Spot on. So that one there, notice that we had our first step, which was simplifying, and then we had to divide. So this is now looking at two-step equations. So this is another type of two-step equation. However, with this one here, we can't simplify it first. So here, this is example 5. Remember to make sure you're getting these down in your notes. So here I've got 4x minus 1 is equal to 7. Now, if you go back to watch Collecting Like Terms, we had a look at stuff like this where we simplified. And what you should have found out from there is that we can't actually simplify this, because 4x and minus 1 are completely different, so we can't simplify those. So what I've got to do is I've got to still find out what x is. Now, the question you ask yourself is, do I get rid of the 4, or do I get rid of this minus 1 first? Now, because you could divide by 4 and then add 1, or do I add 1 and then divide it by 4? So that's a bit of a dilemma. So the answer is we get rid of this minus 1 first, and the reason is, if I divide by 4, I'd need to divide all of these things by 4, so I'd have to divide this by 4 as well. Whereas if I add 1, I don't need to add 4 to this, because I can't add, if I add 1, I can't add 1 to this. It just gets rid of it. You might want to think about it is, you might have seen BIDMAS or BODMAS, or the order of operation. So and this is the order that we do things. Now when we're doing the inverse, we tend to try and go backwards from this. So I've got to get rid of this subtraction before I get rid of this multiplication. Now obviously that changes if you've got fractions and things, but for now, let's just think about that. So I need to get rid of this minus 1 first. And I get rid of a minus 1 by plussing 1 to each side. So minus 1 plus 1 is equal to 0, that's the whole point. And 7 plus 1. So remember, to follow this step, remember you're copying this down, make sure it's in this order. You should be able to write it exactly like this. So if I've got 4x minus 1 plus 1, that's just equal to 4x. Okay? And this one here, 7 plus 1 is equal to 8. Now I need to get x on its own, so I do that by dividing by 4, So 4 x's divided by 4 means I've just got 1x, and 8 divided by 4 is 2. And then that's that question done. Notice again we've got the two steps, and you should be writing it down like this, one stage at a time, going underneath like that. Okay, this is how you should be writing it. So that was example 5. Let's have a look now at another example, very similar to this one. So here I've got, what was that one, example 5, so now we're now on example 6. So example 6, and here I've got 37 is equal to 7y minus 5. Now with this one here, it doesn't matter that things are the other way around. I'm still solving, because we're balancing, it doesn't matter whether it's this way or this way, they stay the same. So remember, I need to get rid of this subtract before I get rid of the times by 7y using inverse big mass. So I'm going to get rid of this minus 5. The inverse of minus 5 is plus 5. So I'm going to plus 5 to both of these sides. If I plus 5 to this side, 37 plus 5 is 42. If I plus 5 to this side, these cancel. So I just end up with 7y. Remember, solve means to find out the unknown. So in this case, I'm trying to find out y. So I want y on its own. If I want y on its own, I need to get rid of this 7. That means 7 times by y. So I'm getting rid of the times by 7 by dividing by 7. So then I've got 42 divided by 7, which is equal to 6. And 7y divided by 7. I've got 7 divided by 7, that's 1. 7y's divided by 7 is 1y. Like so. So y is equal to 6. It doesn't matter that it's that way round. Brilliant. So let's have a go at another question now. So this now is taking it to the next step again. This is like a 3-step equation, okay? Now you'll notice with this one is example 7. So here I've got p plus 3p plus 3 is equal to 19. So the first thing people do is they go, all right, I take away 3, divide by 3, but remember what we did before. Remember that when we did the one let's have a quick look, which one was it? It was this one here. When we did this one, we needed to simplify first. And notice, if we've got the p's on this side here, we can simplify it before we do anything, and you have to do that. So, what is p plus 3p? Well, if I've got 1p plus 3p's, that's equal to 4p there. Plus the 3 is equal to 19. So I've simplified that part first. So that's my stage 1, step 1. The next thing I need to do is I'm going to need to get rid of this plus 3. And I do that by subtracting 3 and subtracting 3. If I subtract 3 from this side, it gets rid of that plus 3. So I end up with 4p is equal to 19 take away 3, which is equal to 16. And then the last little stage, I need to divide by 4 to get rid of that. Divide by 4, so p is equal to 4p divided by 4 is p. 16 divided by 4, which is equal to 4 there, like so. So that there was the 3-step equation. So we simplified first. Remember to always check out for that. Is there anything on this side which simplifies? Yes, the p and the p. Is there anything on this side? No, so we leave that one. Then we can solve it going through. Brilliant. So, let's have a look at this one now. So actually, some people find this one here a little bit easier than the one before because we don't need to simplify straight away. But what we do need to do on this one is we need to expand that bracket first. Now, if you're not sure how to expand brackets, you can either watch me do it now or have a look at one of my other videos on expanding single brackets. So this one here is 5 lots of x minus 3, which is equal to 35. So the first thing I'm going to do here is going to expand this bracket. So that's my first step here. So 5 times by x, which is 5x, and 5 times by minus 3 is minus 15, which is equal to 35. Then I can go on to solve. So I need to get rid of this minus 15 by adding 15, adding 15. Add 15 to this side, it gets rid of that. So I end up with 5x is equal to 35 plus 15. Well, 35 plus 5 is equal to 40. Plus another 10 is equal to 50. And then get x on its own. Remember, that's the whole point. Solve means to find the unknown. So divided by 5, divided by 5. So 5x divided by 5 is x. And 50 divided by 5 is 10. And then that's that question done. So that there was question 8. Okay, we've done loads of examples here. I have got one more to have a little look at. So what I'm going to say now is pause this and have a go at this one yourself. I will go through it in a second. So pause now and have a go at that. Okay, hopefully you've had a go at that. So I'm going to have a go at this one. I'm going to show you how to do it quickly. I'm going to do one final one, which is really pushing to the boundaries. So here I've got 2x plus 1 is equal to 8. Expand it first. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times by 1 is plus 2, which is equal to 8. Subtract 2, subtract 2. We'll cancel that, so I end up with 2x is equal to 6. Divided by 2, x is equal to 3. Brilliant. Now remember to set this question, set your answer out like this. It should be step, 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 step. Because some people will go times by 2, then 8 minus 2 on the side. But we want to stay away from it. We want to show the examiner the steps that you are doing. Okay, so let's just check that one there. Yeah, x is equal to 3. Now, we're stepping up to the harder ones now. Okay, this is a past paper question from, I think it's one of part of crossover actually. So this here is example 10. Now things are starting to look a little bit different here with this one. I will tell you this was on the calculator paper, so I can use my calculator for this. So, f is equal to 1.8c plus 32. And f is equal to 68. Now, the difference with this one is we're expecting to substitute that into there and then find out what c is. It's like that extra layer. So you've not just got an equation this time, you've got a formula. You've also got a value in that formula. You can put that value in and then work backwards. So if I know that f is equal to 68, straight away I can say that 68 is equal to 1.8c plus 32. And that's my starting point. So now I can solve this like a normal equation. Remember, solve means to find the unknown. In this case, I'm finding out what c is. So I need to get rid of this 32 first by minus 32 minus 32. If I minus 32 from this side, I can do this on my calculator. So 68 minus 32 is equal to 36, which is equal to minus 32 from this side. We'll just get rid of that. That's the whole point. So here now, I've got 36 is equal to 1.8c. Don't be scared by that 1.8. Don't be scared by that decimal. It means exactly the same, whether it's 2 in front of it, 3 in front of it, 1/5 in front of it. It means 1.8 times by c. So to get rid of that, I'm dividing by 1.8. Divide by 1.8. So if I divide this side by 1.8, I'm just left with the c. That's the whole point. And 36 divided by 1.8 is equal to 20. And that's that question done. Notice with this one, it hasn't said solve. It's giving you a formula. You've got to then sub in and then solve. You're expected to know that you are solving. Okay, so this is the last little question we're going to have a look at, and then we're going to have a go at some ourselves. So with this one here, you notice that you've got a rectangle. Okay. Now what they're asking you to do in this one is they're asking you to form the equation first. It doesn't tell you that, but they are asking you to form this. I will just make this big in case you want to see it as you're copying it out. So it says the perimeter of the rectangle is 37 centimetres. Now that means that the distance all around that rectangle is 37 centimetres. Work out the value of x. So this one here is example 12. No, example 11. So example 11. So here I've got the perimeter is equal to 37. And they've given me this rectangle, but they've given it me in terms of x. Like so. So straight away, because I know it's a rectangle, I know that this side is the same as this side. I'll do this in a different colour so you can see what steps I've taken. So this side is the same as this side, so I know that this is equal to x. I know that this bottom is the same as the top, so this is equal to x plus 3. And it's telling me that this distance around the outside is equal to 37. So in a similar way here, the first thing you've got to do is you've got to work out what the distance around the outside is in terms of x. And I do that by doing this one here. So x plus this one here, x plus 3, plus this one here, plus x, plus this one here, which is equal to plus x plus 3. So I've added all of these sides together. Now, what I need to do next, remember I can't solve this until I've simplified it. So I've got x plus x plus x plus x. So x plus x plus x plus x is equal to 4x. 3 plus 3 is equal to plus 6. So this is the perimeter in terms of x. And this is what the actual perimeter is. So if I know that this is the perimeter and this is the perimeter, then I can say that these two are equal. And then I've got my equation. And then I can solve to find out what x is. So I do exactly the same. I'm going to get rid of this 6 first by subtracting by 6 and subtracting by 6. Subtract this side by 6, I just end up with 4x. Subtract this right hand side by 6, I end up with 31. Yes. I think this is a calculator question as well. And then I divide, to get rid of this 4, I divide by 4, divide by 4. Don't be worried the fact that that doesn't divide by 4. Don't be worried by that. It's okay. So 4x divided by 4 is just x. And 31 divided by 4, 31 divided by 4 is equal to 7.75. Brilliant. And remember that x is centimetres, it's the distance around. So, I know my perimeter is equal to 37. I know that this is a rectangle, so these are the same. I can write my perimeter, so that, remember the distance around the outside, so that plus that plus that plus that is all of these, which is my perimeter. I then simplify this, make it equal to the perimeter I know, and then I can solve. Brilliant. So, let's have a little go at some of these questions. I'll make this big for you. Okay, so pause now and have a go at these questions. Okay, hopefully you've had a go at these. Remember to make sure you are having a go at these questions because the only way to learn maths is to do it. And then I'm going to pop the answers up, so mark these in green. Brilliant. So thank you for watching this video on 1, 2 and 3-step linear equations. Make sure you are having a go at all these questions because the only way to learn maths is to do it, and have a lovely day.